and welcome to Riffs TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and we got with us today lead singer Al Ravage of the band Ravage. Now, not too hard to come up with that name. I understand, though, the band was formed by you and your brother. So what's it like being in a band with your brother?
It's got its ups and downs, but we get along okay.
Are you older or a younger one?
I'm the older brother, yeah.
That makes sense. And I was curious, how big of an influence do you think you were on your brother becoming a musician as well?
I think I was a pretty big influence, but I think our older brother was actually the main influence because he was in punk bands when we were growing up. And
Oh,
then
that's interesting. I mean, and what's kind of interesting about that is anybody that's ever listened to punk music, punk and metal, they got kind of I don't know if you want to say similar audiences, but I find a lot of times metal fans also like punk music. I think maybe because of the attitude, Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a big influence from him, and seeing him play shows and pick up a guitar kind of got us both
And I have a
going.
question for you, Al. Were you always a singer, or do you have the same story a lot of guys have, which is you started out on the guitar and kind of because people thought you had the best voice of everybody in the band, it kind of fell on you?
Oh, it's something like that. I started out on drums, and
Okay, wow, a
I
lot
wanted
of
to be the
people.
drummer, and we couldn't find a singer, so yeah, so it was pretty close to that story.
What
Uh,
I think about that story is the fact that you're probably the one guy in your band that's kind of got those two perspectives. I mean, think about for being the drummer, you're the guy in the back of the stage, even though you're pounding away, everybody can hear you, maybe not necessarily see you as well as the rest of the guys. You go from that to being the front man, where it's all eyes on you.
yep. I mean, for sure. I mean, I think most drummers kind of either want to be the front man or have that in their head that they are the front man, but they're behind everybody. And then drummers are kind of an odd sort, just like
Yeah,
singers. So.
it's kind of funny because a lot of drummers become great singers. I mean, you look at guys like, I don't know if you're aware, but like Janie Lane, Steven Tyler, they all
Oh, yeah,
started
yeah.
out as drummers and then later became frontmen. You look at a guy like Phil Collins too, plays different type of music, but I love the fact that he started out as the drums and then just kind of became a singer. And who knew he could sing?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of drummer singer crossover.
Yeah,
Every once in a while they actually play and sing at the same time, but
and that's amazing too if you really think about it, because I mean being a drummer is really a physical kind of sport, if you will. I mean, because you're using your whole body and stuff, and to be able to sing and remember lyrics, that's I mean what a massive gift that is. And you look at a guy like Phil Collins. I mean, I think I was reading he's close to 80 years old and he's still out there touring, but he's such a rock and roll warrior that he's not even able to drum anymore. But thank God he's got that golden voice and get up and do that, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's amazing whenever anybody can
let's talk
sing it.
about Ravage now. You guys just put out a great new album. It was released on April 19th, I believe. It's called the Spider on the World. I mean, I just looked at the cover and it's so such a cool album cover. Talk a little bit about the album. Like I'm assuming there's a concept behind the album.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be called Spider on the World. That was a song that we had recorded, but it was supposed to be a double album called Ravage the Earth and Ravage in Peace.
Okay.
And at some point, when everything was done, the band got together and they just didn't want to do a double album. So we looked at the concept, the art that we had, and we were like, well, why don't we just call it Spider on the World? Because we
Okay.
have a
Now
song
that's
called.
interesting because I mean, I'm an old school guy in the sense that I love having like physical product to pick up, if it's vinyl or a CD or something. Looking at the beautiful artwork, like on your latest album cover, reading the liner notes and the songwriting credits and all that. I mean, back when I was growing up, you could actually go to a store and find music. I mean, these days you have to go through the internet. So I think kids are kind of missing out on that experience. And I would love to like have a double album, but I get it. It's a new world, new age, and you almost think of if we put out a double album, it's going to maybe cost a little more. Is everybody going to be able to afford it? Is it going to get the attention it would if it was maybe just a single album?
And that's kind of where we messed up because we ended up putting out the double album. This is actually a 2 disc set.
Oh
So when you
wow.
get the vinyl, it's actually it's a gatefold. It's got 2 actual records in there, but
That's
it's not a double album. It's just 10 songs, or well, 12
yeah.
songs when you get the vinyl.
That's beautiful. And again, I mean, the vinyl itself is a piece of art. I mean, again, when I was growing up, you could buy vinyl for like $8 or $9, maybe cheaper, but it's become an art form. I mean, it's kind of slowly making a comeback. And what I dig about it is that something like that, I wouldn't mind spending, $30, $35 if you get a nice double album. The artwork, it's something you can really, it's kind of one of those cases of you get what you pay for, I mean, I could eat at McDonald's, but I think why not eat at why not eat at a fancier place, Sizzler or whatever you whatever you want to go to. You get what you pay for, and that's a beautiful product.
Yeah, I think we figured that most people are going to stream it for free on Spotify or iTunes. So as far as the physical product, we really wanted to make something special, like a collector's edition. So when you get the vinyl from us, it's got 2 discs. It's collector's weight. It's 180 grams. So they're really thick, heavy discs that'll last a long time.
And I
And
imagine there's like a limited run, like you say, so it kind of become a collector's edition. And if you get to the point where you decide, well, we're going to need to kind of reissue this, then you maybe have a different color vinyl. You make it a little different than the previous release, just to kind of give people a little something extra.
yep, that's the idea. And in fact, if you get the vinyl version, it comes with 2 extra songs and 2 extra instrumental intros. So you get like about 15 minutes of extra music if you get the vinyl. So that's
Super cool, super cool. Um, and let's talk about the band because I got to thank the Lord of PR, our mutual friend, your publicist, for setting this up. I get a lot of great interviews for him, and I say that because I was not aware of the band before he sent me a press release on you guys. I like to check everything out before I do the actual interview, and so I was checking out your album and pretty kick-ass. I must say, just kind of describe overall sound. I'd say it's old school, kind of old school metal. Um, I would say kind of reminds me a little bit of Judas Priest and Iron Maiden from back in the day. Am I getting any of those influences right?
for sure. Yeah. I think we kind of pick little pieces out of all the traditional metal bands. Like there's a lot of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, but we also have some thrash in there and some
Yeah,
more modern power
I
metal
think
type
that's a
stuff.
fair statement because Al, I want to let people know, go like you said, go online. That's the cool thing about the ability to go on YouTube and check the album out first. People can kind of get a taste of what the band is, and then if you want to get the whole album, please go out and support these guys because they work hard. They put out quality music. But that's the best thing I can say too. In listening to the album, well, you got those influences in the music. I'm not going to sit here and say you guys are trying to be the next Judas Priest or whatever, because there are definitely different influences throughout the music. I'm just trying to kind of give people kind of a little taste of what the sound of a band is.
Yeah, I'd say the closest band we kind of come to musically is maybe Metal Church,
Hey,
a
yeah,
mix of kind of thrash and heavy metal. But there's definitely songs that skew toward Iron Maiden with like the dual guitars, and Judas Priest with the kind of double bass, their more recent stuff. Um, but yeah, there are little King Diamond influences. There's all kinds of stuff in there, but we kind of keep it within the realm of traditional heavy metal, but the spectrum of all kinds of thrash to power metal to
sure,
everything.
sure.
That's
I can hear all that. And we brought up Iron Maiden a couple times. Obviously, you're a fan of theirs. I was curious. What do you think about since they went from being a 2 guitar band to a 3 guitar band?
I haven't noticed a huge difference. I mean, even at the live shows I've been and seen them, it's they're pretty much just playing, the same way.
That is not the sound, but
You know,
the cool thing I love about that is the fact that the reason they have 3 guitar players is when Adrian Smith came back to the band, they didn't want to kick the other guy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and you get the rhythm guitar with the lead guitars now too. So you get a rhythm guitar behind it. It's a little more powerful, but yeah, it's all their albums are kind of like a guitar fest where you get a lot of solos. It's
Sure,
nice.
sure. So let me ask you, in regards to Ravage and this new album, was any of this written during the pandemic or after? Talk a little bit about the writing process for this.
A lot of it was, most of it was recorded during the pandemic, or written right before it. A couple of the newer songs like "Sign of the Spider," those are written right before we started recording, so it was pretty much recorded throughout the pandemic. And then we just took another year or so for us to get everything together. So
That had
together,
to be an interesting time because at a time when a lot of bands, if your bread and butter is doing live shows, there was a time there for a while where you probably didn't know if you're ever going to get the opportunity to perform live again, and thank God it didn't come to that, but I guess it gave you a little more time to kind of work on these songs and kind of mold them into what they've become.
yeah, for us it gave us the time to work on the production, really, because we're not a people of means. We don't have a big
Sure,
budget.
sure.
Everything was independent, so it helped us to get things together and be able to pool our resources so we can get the best possible sound on it, I think.
And on that note, Al, I assume like a lot of these bands out there today, you guys are working musicians in the sense that this is not the only thing you do for a living. This is kind of this is what you do on the weekend, and this, you guys have day jobs, and so it's cool to be able to find the time to kind of live out your dream, if you will, be able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I have the most respect for those bands who are trying to, play 300 shows a year
Yeah.
and trying to put out an album every year. It's a tough racket.
And now I was reading you guys actually formed in the mid '90s. So have you been a band all through that time in the sense that you've been fully kind of active, or was there any downtime?
Uh, there's always been, every couple of years, there's been some downtime.
Uh,
We're not a band that ever toured regularly.
yeah, yeah.
We're not a band that ever tried to put out an album every year.
Okay.
But yeah, we've always kept the band together in some form. We always played pretty much at least one show a year.
Wow, wow.
We'll
So
put something
that
out
makes,
every year.
I mean, not just for the fans, but like for the band itself, one or two shows a year. I mean, you better have somebody come to the show, but it makes it that much more of a special event. And even for the band, I would think, like, since you're not constantly touring and seeing each other, except for maybe your brother, and you know, there's that camaraderie. There's not so much friction because you're not constantly around each other, getting on each other's nerves.
Yep, it's always kind of kept things fresh for us. Band members have had different projects and stuff over the years, and so when we've gotten back together, it's always been a little bit more fresh. And we've always, since we haven't put out a lot of material, we just put out the best stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
because I was reading with the
all deal
release
with
of the new
quantity.
album, you guys are kind of planning to do some festival dates. So talk a little bit about that, because is that like other parts of the country as well as the U.S.?
We'll pretty much go anywhere, anywhere we get the call. We've had the great opportunity to play some cool festivals in the past overseas, and places like we played the Legions of Metal in Chicago. Got to play the uh, Headbangers Open Air in Germany. So we'll pretty much go anywhere where we're called. Anywhere we get an opportunity to play.
And that's cool too, because those other countries are getting a chance to maybe hear Ravage for the first time, and that's pretty cool. I mean, that you guys get to go travel all around the world. Would you say that you've traveled more outside the U.S. or equally?
We played most of the continental U.S. We did a tour in 2009 where we went around most of the country. Played a lot of tiny clubs and some disasters, but we did play most of the states, and then we played quite a bit of Europe too. So yeah,
it may seem silly to ask, but I ask because you'd be
we'd like
surprised.
to get over to Japan or something.
Maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but a lot of guys I talk to, they're like, yeah, we're a band from the United States, but we actually play overseas more because a lot of times the metal music is just more popular over there. It just kind of depends on where you can get a show.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a different vibe over there. It's definitely cool to play in different places. I mean, we like to get to anywhere we could play. Canada, Japan. We play in Africa if we could. So.
And so, of course, the new album just came out in April. But what kind of response have you guys been getting so far? I mean, I've been getting a lot of orders. You finding people from all around the world are checking it out.
Yeah, that's what's really cool being a band like this, where a lot of our audience is overseas, probably half of it, or at least. Getting to hear from people, you've from places you've never been to, or places you've never heard from. Just
Yeah, and I would imagine, Al, that it must be pretty amazing feeling that, you hear from some kid halfway around the world, maybe in a country where you've never even stepped foot in, or the band's never even played live, and it's like, wow, a kid all the way around the world is checking out our music, a place we've never even been.
yeah, I mean, it blows your mind. We sold some records over to Japan.
Yeah.
Never been there, and so uh, you know, it's really cool to hear from anywhere where you get your music. That's the idea, just get it out there to all corners of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the recording, I was curious, what's your guys' process like with this new album? Are you all in the same studio together? Is everybody kind of recorded their parts separately? What's that process like?
Since this one was recorded during the pandemic, it was pretty much all remote. Everybody recorded their parts on their own,
Okay.
which was different for us because I had to record all my vocals by myself, and usually there's at least one person there. So it was a different thing, but yeah, it was pretty much putting it all together individually and then getting together to make sure everything fit.
And then being the singer, I was curious. I assume a lot of the songwriting falls on you, or do other guys contribute as well?
Luckily, I don't have to come up with a lot of music.
Yeah.
The guitarist write most of the music, and the bass player Tommy, he wrote some music. I just have to worry about the lyrics and kind of the vocal melodies. So coming up
I
with
imagine it
concepts.
depends on the song, but do you typically have a standard way? Like, typically, does it start off maybe with a guitar riff, or do you a lot of times do your lyrics first? What's your process as far as the lyrics?
I'm always writing kind of themes and coming up with ideas. But for the final lyrics, I usually it's a matter of I get a demo from the guys who write the music, and it's almost a complete song usually, and then I get to work on that and figure out what theme fits with the music, and then write the lyrics from there.
Yeah, and I was reading that, so far you guys have put out two great videos, new videos with the album, and your plan is kind of to do as many videos, which I think is a cool thing. Because a lot of times, let's be honest, no more MTV, so a lot of bands have that feeling like, why bother doing it? But I think for the ones that do it, it's a great way to kind of promote your stuff. And I mean, I must say, MTV quality videos you guys put out. I mean, it looks like something you'd see on Headbangers Ball back in the day. So let's talk about that, because I mean, really professional quality, my friend.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have some friends who are really into video and they've got some good equipment, so they've been willing to help us out. And we're going to continue to make videos just because we think all the songs on the album are really strong. And so it's kind of like like a Def Leppard thing back in the day where we put out singles for every song on the album just because we think they're
I
good.
enjoyed when Metallica put out its last two albums. They like on release day, they would release a new music video like every hour until they were all out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, they had a bunch of like 20 videos or something on
Yeah,
the last
I
album.
mean,
So
they can afford to do it, I guess. But and if you can, why not? But so that's pretty cool. So have you guys kept this pretty much the same lineup, or have you ever had any lineup changes?
that's one of the things that's kind of plagued us over the years. It's been hard to keep the lineup together. So the two guitarists in the band have been with us since 2000. Oh, my brother's been with us since the beginning, but our other guitarist Nick's been with us since 2001. So he's been around for about 25 years. Um, and we've had a kind of rhythm section that's always changed until the last 5 or 6 years, where we finally got some guys who are pretty committed. So
That's cool.
um,
But you and your brothers are kind of the two constants. So it's almost probably like you guys, when you have new members come and go, is it hard to like allow them to kind of take part in the contribution? I guess what I'm asking, since you guys, let's say, been the core members, um, you make a lot of the decisions, or do you share that with other band members?
well, we've always tried to bring people in, let them have input as much as we can, and listen to their ideas songwriting wise. But yeah, just from being in the band for so long, you kind of have a pecking order, I
You
guess.
kind of, well, it's your right anyways, but you know what I mean? You've kind of earned the right, because hey, we're the two constant members. These other guys
Yeah.
are, and anytime you do change a band member, I'd imagine it kind of alters the sound of any band. I mean, you bring in a new bass player, is not going to play exactly note for note the way the original bass player did. He's going to add his little spice to the stuff.
Yeah, luckily, I think the lineup we have now is probably the most solid as far as everybody's on the same page influence wise. So yeah, it's just a really solid sound now. Everybody's good at their instrument. Everybody contributes, and that hasn't always been the case over the years. We've had some really good players, but I think influence wise, everybody's on the same page musically right now, which makes it really solid.
So who would you say growing up were some of your favorite singers, the guys that influenced you?
Definitely Bruce Dickinson, Dio,
Oh,
um,
wow.
King Diamond,
Yeah.
David Wayne from Metal Church,
Yeah, I gotta tell
Lizzie
you,
Borden. Yeah.
I remember seeing Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio, and man, it was amazing. Like I was in the back of the arena, but and from where I was sitting, this little tiny guy up on stage because he was very little, but powerhouse voice. I could not believe the voice was coming out of that guy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I had the great privilege of getting to see Dio in small clubs when I was, in the late '90s. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's incredible. He's a
So,
legend.
talk a little bit about that. I imagine along the way throughout your career, you've had the opportunity to do shows with other national bands. Who were some of your favorite bands that you got to open for, or do a show with?
Well, obviously, we got to play with some of the biggest bands at festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as little club shows, we got to open for Lizzie Borden
Wow.
probably 23 years ago or something, and
Cool.
that was one of my favorite shows we ever played.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
again, I would think, definitely both a metal crowd, but quite different for obvious reasons. I mean, but I think definitely Lizzie Borden's fans could get into a band like, Ravage. So, um, you ever feel like when you do a show like that, but yeah, we won the fans over, like you ever been on a bill where you
yeah,
didn't
that's
know
the
if,
idea.
yeah. Well, I think, what are your
Yeah,
plans for
I guess
us?
anytime you play like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for the rest of the year, you guys plan to do as many shows as possible to support the new album?
Actually, we're just gonna play a scattered couple of shows. We're gonna be playing some shows this summer.
Hmm.
Pretty much like once a month we'll play a show, and I'm gonna be working on the videos, trying to get the videos out, and then maybe next year try to get on some festivals and stuff. So
And I imagine too, Al, since you guys don't play, like you said, typically we'll do like maybe one, two, three shows a year. That when you do hit the stage, it's got to be that something you really look forward to because it's like wow, we're not going to be doing this for a while, but like, better enjoy. Better make this a night to remember.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we try to make an event every show. Just like the album's gonna be an event, we try to make the shows as big as possible. Put as much production on the stage as we can with banners and
Yeah.
lights and stuff. So yeah, definitely. If you come to our show, you're gonna get the peak of what we can offer in a small club.
I love all that stuff like behind you. That all looks cool. Posters and everything on the wall. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I got Rob Halford's book. Yeah, I got King Diamond record, signed poster from Paul Diano.
Oh, that's cool. Paul Diano. Talk about punk. Like if you go back to those first two Iron Maiden albums, you'd almost think they were a punk band.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think even on our records, with the thrash and stuff, you can hear some punk influence. Yeah.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I love punk. I mean, and like probably for Ramones, I used to love the Ramones. I mean, I don't know if you really consider them punk, but they got a little punk element to what they did, and I love the fact that they could play like a whole set in 30 minutes.
Yep, yep. And you can listen to one of their albums like on the way to work or something, hear the whole
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's great about that. Yeah.
And I guess that's a pretty good place to end this. As far as coming up with a set list, like how hard is that when you release a new album? Like, I mean, how many new songs typically is going to make it into the set?
Well, that's always been tough for us because, well, right now we don't have a whole lot of albums. Luckily we don't have 10 albums to choose from.
Yeah, yeah,
But I've always been one of those people who, when I go to see a band, I want to hear, the songs I want to hear.
yes,
I want to
yeah,
hear
yeah,
something
yeah.
good. I want to hear some deep cuts. So we try to have a good variety mix of what we play at the shows. But we are going to feature a lot of stuff from the new album, as long as we have a decent length set.
Yeah, yeah, because it almost makes it worth you guys putting out as many music videos as you can, because for the new stuff, that's the way people can check that out if they really want to. I mean, I know a guy that puts his music out on his own label, And what he typically does is like they will maybe make a music video and they will put the videos up on YouTube, but they're not going to put every, he tells me, I don't put every song up on YouTube, but the songs we release, maybe as a single, that can get posted on YouTube. Then if they want to go buy the whole album and check it out, that's the way we get them to buy it, you know?
Yeah, yep. Everybody's kind of got a different strategy right now. You know, for us, we kept two songs off of the streaming platforms for the vinyl,
That's
and
cool.
kind
Again,
of
you're
stick
giving
with that.
fans a little something extra. I dig that. Well, Al Ravage, it was great talking to you. Again, thanks for coming on Riffs TV. This will be going up probably in the next couple of days. Once I have an exact date, I will let Benjamin know, and he can let you know. And please feel free to share it. And anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome, my friend. Okay.
Cool. Appreciate
Take
it.
care, Mike.
Thanks for having
Take
us
care,
on.
Al. Thank you. Bye bye.